So welcome to another episode of Sealed for Good, and you're probably wondering what I'm doing with a lighter and lighting up this stick. And today we're talking about one of our products that deviates away from our traditional waterproofing, our WB1, WB2. And this is a unique natural timber preservative that we make. There's nothing toxic, there's no chemicals in it. It stops timber rot, it stops insects, termites. But as you can see, it's also a fire retardant. And so this stick has been coated from this half with our WB2, and you'll see that in a moment, as the flame reaches that section there, the stick will burn no more. Pretty cool. I feel like I'm on the curiosity show as a kid back in the science days. But that's where it is, and I'm just going to hold that and keep talking, and you'll see that just dying out. So pretty proud of this product. It is a unique one, and as I said, it does deviate away from traditional waterproofing, but that's no longer burning. So fantastic product. There's no odours. I'm in here with a few of my people, and there's no smells. It's not like a toxic timber preservative that will ignite or emit hazardous fumes. There's nothing hazardous about this product. So where do we use this? Well, primarily it's used as a repair compound. A lot of the time, although people could protect timber from new, they don't, particularly in new construction. But we have timber rot, and there's a lot of concrete repair materials out in the marketplace, but no one's got timber repair materials. And timber is going through a bit of a renaissance in the industry. I might just put that over there. Is going through a bit of a renaissance in the industry with architects and designers because of the fact of its carbon benefits. And so we need to protect it and look after it. Hence, the WB1 and WB2 in the Gripset range, we believe, has got a huge future. And so where you've got timber rot, what these products do is they actually will reinstate the integrity, the integral strength of the timber. And so if you think of rust on metal and you use a rust converter, and rust converters tend to neutralise the rust phenomena, the corrosion phenomena, and then you can put some strength back into the steel. The WB1 range does exactly the same for timber. Now, if you've got lost mass of timber and it's got to that extent, then that's obviously got to be replaced, and it can be replaced with a timber filler or builder filler, and we have our fill and fix for that application. But the WB1, when you apply it to timber, the unique thing about it is timber rot is affected by either fungi or insects, and that can be timber borers or termites. And what it does, those fungi and insects like a very low pH environment, and the alkalinity of the WB1 and WB2 is very, very high. And so what happens is, just in a natural process, neither of those species can actually survive in that environment. And so it penetrates into the timber, and if you've got some really bad fungi that's in the head of the timber, you can actually inject the timber with this product and get right down, let the gravity just sort of soak in, and it removes any of the fungus that's causing the rot process, and it protects it from future fungi or insect contact, which is how all timber rot starts. And then once you've neutralised and you've cured the problem, then you can go about and repair it. So if you have got lost mass, as I said, you can replace that lost mass with a filler. And then it's a natural process. Over a few weeks you'll see that the timber starts to change its nature and its colour. And then you can go ahead and either paint over it or put a sealer over it or whatever repair you want. But as you just saw from the start, one of the big benefits of this product is its fire retardant properties. So you've got peace of mind that whether you're using it for external applications or internal applications, that there is nothing toxic in terms of it emitting anything that's hazardous out. It can come in contact with people, with food, with children. There's absolutely no concerns with the elderly being around the emissions of this product, or children with asthma. Totally safe. So it's a really neat product in that regard. So it is 100% natural, as I mentioned. It restores the integral strength of the timber, and basically it makes the timber unrecognisable to both insects and fungus to be able to habitat in that environment. So it is safe to use. We've got a lot of companies in the Asia Pacific region, particularly New Zealand, that are using this for their bee boxes, and because bees are obviously a very sensitive to anything that's chemical based, and when you've got timber bee boxes, this won't impact the quality of timber in terms of chemicals that might impact the yield of the honey or the bee. They thrive in this environment because it's natural. And it can be painted or stained over, but when you are doing that, you need to make sure that the process, you'll see sometimes a crystalline effect happening on the timber. That is actually the reaction against the fungi. And then once that's gone, you can sand that away and you can go either seal or paint directly over it. Or if need be and you need to waterproof over it for whatever reason, you can do that or put any of our adhesives over that as well. One of the other big benefits of these products is because they're natural, there are no biocides in there, so there's no shelf life issues. So if you've got a pail, whether you're one of our resellers or you're an applicator, you can hold that pail for 3, 5, 10 years. It just stir it up, use it again, and it's all good to go. But we'd expect that you'd be using a lot quicker than that than storing it for that long. So where can it be used? It can be used on any timber affected by wet or dry rot. Okay, any timber that's had insect attacks, I should say. You can use it on new timber. If you think you've got new timber but it might be prone to being exposed to those environments, that is the best time to use it. And WB1 is a more cost-effective method to use there. So I would suggest that you apply that around window reveals. It can be around timber eaves. It can be even used for timber internally. I've spoken to some of the CLT builders out there. There's been interest in that from the ability of it being a fire retardant application. On window and door frames, obviously, weatherboards, timber decking, but it doesn't mean you don't seal it. You still need to use a timber sealer on top of it afterwards to stop moisture penetration or water staining, but it does stop the wet rot. Outdoor furniture, obviously, and bee boxes. Now, as I mentioned at the start, this does deviate away from our normal range of our membranes and our coatings, but I want to introduce it to you because it's something that maybe it might prompt a few applications or ideas amongst you guys that are following us out there. If there's applications that we haven't mentioned in this episode of Sealed for Good, please let us know. We'd love to hear your inquiries about it and see whether we can discover another application for the WB1 range. But if you've got any questions or inquiries, please call our toll-free line, 1800 650 435, or email us with your inquiry. We'd love to hear from you and talk further about it. You'll hear more about this range in the future. Thanks for joining us on this episode. We'll see you next time.